Good morning.
Morning.
I started my day by running my Keurig not into a cup, but into the base of the machine. So how's your day going?
Oh,
I did
That
that
was
with the
our-
coffee pot the other week.
What?
I did that with our
Oh,
coffee
no.
pot. I didn't get it all the way under.
Looks like Tizzy needs an IPA cup.
Yeah, I've got
does.
this is old news. This is 150th, so I'm guessing we won't get these this year. I don't
What
know.
is it?
All right, we're here. Let's do it. My last meeting, 30 minutes. We banged it out, so I know we can do it. See if we can. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you or see your names. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. So let's get into it. Okay. Oh, all right. We have an update on number 1 already. So the fiscal year interim recommendations were submitted to the governor. We have decided that we're going to do a public facing virtual event to discuss those recommendations at the beginning of JFC and after, giving some breathing room to the governor's budget address. What I didn't realize though, when we were looking at calendars, was that JFC goes into session on that Monday. Yeah, that was an oversight on my part. Yeah, because it wasn't all specified in terms of what was going to be done. So Matt and I discussed, and we think it would be better to push it to the Friday of that week. So that would be February 5th. And I think we're looking at 11 a.m. Seems like a good time when people come to things and don't start checking out in the afternoon on a Friday. So that's the update there. And
so that Friday, we probably just wouldn't have this meeting.
Correct, unless we wanted to hop on for a couple minutes to clear anything up at 10:30. But basically, yeah, I think it would supplant this meeting unless we have any final to discuss. Maybe just look at it as 10:30 to 11 prep time for that. Okay, work group updates. Let's just let you guys go through it one by one. So funding and governance.
So I don't think I see Namdi or Eugene.
No, there was a good planning meeting this week.
It was good. I can give a quick update, and Tizzy, you can add, or Kelly, if anyone can add, or Chris, there's a lot of people there, add anything in. So the IPA team met with Namdi and Eugene and Tizzy on Tuesday to talk through sort of strategic planning, the next steps for the funding and governance work group. We talked about redistricting, but also sort of how to tackle that in terms of like systemic funding issues like unit count and stuff. And we're going to work on, the IPA team is going to work on drafting a 2-year plan for the funding and governance work group. So Chris, Alexis, and I are going to work on that, and then we're going to review it with Namdi and Eugene next week. So hopefully that will put us in a good spot, and then we'll be able to give more concrete updates about work group meetings and stuff.
Great. Yeah, it was good. I was only able to pop on for a little bit, but I think my takeaway was basically like the committee, I think for the time being, the work group is going to stay as one, but because it's got sort of the meatiest macro stuff going on, trying to figure out a way to address that sequentially, because we can't do all the things immediately, due to capacity and just due to, I think, political realities. And so it'll be a matter of strategizing how to approach that, knowing that we do want to do all the things over time. Anybody have any questions about that? Cool. All right. Settlement committee. You guys had a meeting I wasn't able to attend this week. What's new?
Chuck, you want to lead? Sure. So we're just getting ready for our initial meeting with the bigger committee. I saw Kelly dancing over there a little bit. Our UD support has been great. Just want to thank them for that. Some of our major things, I forget what exactly we had on our agenda for the first one, but I know we do want to make sure that our scope is set We want to make sure we meet all the members that we're getting. That's a little asterisk for, let's not forget that point too. We know that the governor's recommended budget is coming out soon. So our first meeting is before that, right? Yes.
It's 25th.
So we're going to be asking people to just take a look at that and to look for the things that we expect to see in the governor's recommended budget from the settlement. We have a presentation to talk through as a committee that includes some of the details on the settlement, and UD IPA has done a good job of outlining what in each year is the minimum that we would expect to see. We might even get to a part of the conversation. Well, maybe, I don't know about this meeting, but maybe the next one, the second big meeting, what is the stuff that we want to try to float up to the Reading Consortium big group to try to push to get in addition to the minimum for this year. Our timing is a little off because we know that the JFC education meeting is, I think it happens before our second meeting. So, or maybe it happens, maybe it's the same day or the day after the big consortium. I forget. We took a look at the calendar.
Same day.
The same day. There was
Same day as
something-
our first consortium meeting this year. Yeah.
Something strange about it, which, if we had known the schedule, then maybe we could design it. And I don't know how much the Reading Commission wants to design their schedules around that financial process. In my world, it means a lot. In my old world at DOE, it meant even more. But I think it's important in future years for us to try to time that so that we can, if it's something that the consortium wants to do, have somebody even represent the view of the consortium at the JFC and give like a 2-minute, hey, this is what we hope you can work into this with the additional money that you might find under a rock. So this asterisk I had was around new members. I know Aaron and I are getting pinged a lot for, hey, so-and-so wants to be on this, so-and-so wants to be this organization and that organization. And I know that for one group, Aaron and I, we chatted some and, we knew it was a super important group. And then our thing was, well, what does, Senator Lockman and the leadership, are they good with this? So I just didn't know what the protocol is for us to consider people that want to be members of these groups, because we're starting to get groups that I've never even heard of that want to be involved in it. And maybe Aaron's heard of them, but, I don't know everybody in the world, but, I've been involved enough that I would think that I'd even have heard of an organization. So that's all I have. Aaron, you want to pick it up from there? And
no, that's appropriate. And I know Senator Lockman's also shared her thoughts around the group. And so there is no policy or bylaws about a working group, which I kind of wish there were. But
watch out when you say that, they make you write them. You know that, right?
I know.
We can work on those with you, Aaron.
Really restrictive.
Yeah, I'm good. I think for Chuck and I, the big thing is that we want to be nimble. And so it's great to have a large committee with 100 people and everyone gets a say. But truth is, we're trying to move quickly and also effectively for thousands of children and teachers in the state of Delaware. So we're just having some of those conversations. So everyone who has been added since we started, Chuck or I have spoken with and had to vet, but that's still ongoing. So Senator Lockman, I know if you want to share anything else about the lack of policy.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the beginning for all of our working groups, we have tried to, I think, have nimbleness at the core of our lack of policy, and really, choose chairs that we trust to do the right things. And this working group is no different. So, we give you a lot of latitude to select your membership, to identify who you think would be the best members. And of course, you are welcome and encouraged to consult with Matt and I on those things. If you have any concerns, I do think in the spirit of nimbleness, not getting too large is important. And we also want to, of course, make sure that we have a fair representation of different groups. And including, because we always feel like we need to say it specifically, you know, folks who either are part of or credibly connected to impacted communities who are part of that group. And then, you know, at a certain point, and we've experienced this, I think, with every working group, and I've experienced with other committees I've been part of, there are limits to how much you can add and still do the work that you need to do. So at a certain point, we have to just, you know, pivot to our philosophy, which is our meetings are open. We are very transparent. All are welcome. And we have other ways, sometimes even more effective ways than committee membership, to engage those stakeholders. So, you know, happy to talk to you offline about membership and where it stands, and if we're at that capping point, and just how to let folks know that they are absolutely welcome to be part of the process as non-working group members, and that we do take that seriously, and we'll, just like in every other working group, look for ways to really meaningfully engage and respond to their concerns and ideas.
Mhm.
Is that helpful? In other words, you're on your own. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's what you said. It was very political. I love the eloquence in which you said the same thing.
But I mean it. I mean, I think we do, and I say all those things because I think we do have to be very intentional about, you know, the transparency and the engagement of those who are not part of the working group. But yes, there's a reason there is a set membership to do work. For sure.
Just a quick protocol question. So we are a working group of a larger group. If we determine that, hey, we really would like this concept to get in front of the JFC, we know that Aaron Bass and Chuck Longfellow aren't going down to Dover or virtually and saying Reading Consortium believes this. That's not our place. But how, especially if it's something where time is of the essence, I think the kind of the de facto process we have is that I know Aaron and Senator Lockman, you know, you guys communicate, you know, from time to time a lot, you know, I would think that would just be kind of like that direct communication. But if there's something that we think should be done in the name of the consortium, and you all don't have time to meet to endorse that as a full body, I don't want to say, are we wasting our time, or is there a mechanism, or I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying, but we, you know, like Aaron said, we want to be nimble, we want to be agile, and there's some time is of the essence stuff that we're going to probably come up with and maybe see opportunities to try to impact. How do we get that impact actualized?
I mean, I think you come to Matt and I as the chairs, you know, I am very cautious about clearing things with the full consortium body before we consider it like a consortium policy position. So to that point, in terms of like the February 18th JFC education hearing, I would expect that, like the press conference, we are going to speak to what has been affirmed by the full consortium interim recommendation. And so anything that we would add to that would you know, need to be vetted by the full consortium in one way or another. Obviously, we have ways of calling the group together if we feel that we need to, or even to, I think, and Matt, you can add some color to this, I think solicit approval of something if we needed to do that by email, I believe is allowed. We might need to check on that with our lawyer. But I know that we've done that in the past with other versions of this body. Matt, I'm going to let you be lawyerly now and bring us more.
No, I think the way that you said it is exactly right. That the full consortium, you know, should sign off on things that are going to be presented to, you know, anyone on the outside, whether it's the JFC or the broader public. If there's something that's time sensitive, you know, there's a number of different ways that we can, you know, we can get people's attention quickly. But we, you know, the consortium was set up, you know, very purposefully to have, you know, very specific types of representation from a lot of different quarters. And we just, you know, we need to be conscious of that. So everything that Senator Lockman said is correct, as usual.
Right, but maybe not on the composition stuff. Do you want to check my work on that piece? I think about us verifying the ultimate composition of the working group.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the way the statute's written, the consortium chairs are supposed to sign off on working group or subcommittee members. So, for you all, this goes contrary to Senator Lockman's effort to put it all off on Aaron. But if you all need someone to be, the mean people, you can blame me and Senator Lockman.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
And we're not there yet.
Okay, good.
But and we also Chuck, we still have freedom of speech, and so we can speak on behalf of ourselves. Just can't say Reading Commission also endorses my 100-page manifesto.
That's right.
Oh dear. Okay, that's true.
We've been busy, Tizzy. We've been very busy.
I know. I'm excited about it. I have to say, when I'm talking to my colleagues in particular, I'm bringing up the recent formation of the settlement working group a lot, because I'm excited, about it. And I think, we have a lot of potential, not just to be bringing recommendations, but I think also to help make sure that we have a full understanding and expertise on the settlement, and others are looking for that as well. So, I think we have a lot of positive potential to be, I think like you were talking about the document that was shaping up to show like the minimum expectations and maybe even the sequence of that. I know that I have colleagues who are really interested in us sharing that with them, so they can kind of get a boiled down version, not just of the components of the settlement, but like the timeline of how things are going to flow. So very exciting, and keep up the good work.
One more asterisk. It would probably need more time on this, but we don't want to duplicate work. So because the settlement impacts funding and governance, social determinants, and educators, and we're conscious of that, one thing we're trying to make sure is that we're bringing recommendations from those groups to ours, so we're not duplicating the same work of the commission. And we just want to call out, not for right now, that we need to, we're open to feedback if we do move in some areas that might be duplicating or just might need to be in consultation with other groups.
Great. I think, yes, that actually came up in the funding governance planning group as well, that we know that there's areas of overlap, and to make sure that that's considered, I think, in the sequencing of the work for sure. I think, as co-chairs of these working groups, we would expect and encourage you all to talk to each other at times when that seems relevant. So that's one way to approach that. And then, I think we can get into whether or not there's needs for like joint meetings and deeper approaches to how to address that overlap. Great. Dawn, you had your hand raised.
I do, thank you. So I wanted to go back to, and it's good to see all of you. I wanted to go back to JFC and a recommendation that we do have someone provide public comment regarding recommendations. So we have both Senator Sturgeon and Representative Williams, who have been attending the meetings, who are heavily involved in understand the recommendations, and are both on the JFC and are both now the chairs for the ed committees. So, and are working on legislation associated with some of our recommendations. So that work is underway. So not only would it be, it would be beneficial for us to give that someone to give that public comment to support them. So to demonstrate that we support the legislation that they're putting forward regarding the recommendations, but also for the other JFC members to hear Reading Consortium members publicly support what we put forward. I feel like the public comment is powerful. It's impactful.
Yeah, that's important. Thank you. I think, obviously when it's things that flow directly from our recommendations, we can speak as a body to promote those. I think until we're able to get a full consortium sign on to say we also support XYZ legislation, I think that's something that we could certainly consider.
I wasn't even saying that we have to say the legislation, but just saying, we publicly say that these are the things that are in our recommendations,
Mhm.
and this is why.
Mhm.
So when those two legislators are back in their caucus, or when they're speaking with just all the other legislators,
Yeah.
we are on record for putting forth the recommendations and why they're
Right.
why they're needed.
And
So I don't think we have to mention the legislation, particularly if it hasn't been filed.
right. Yeah. No, that's good. And I think our February 5th press conference, when we are going to be talking about the specifics of our recommendation in a way that's sort of, I don't know if public facing is the right word, but certainly targeted towards our fellow legislators. My hope is that that will be very clear and that they will be involved in that. We'll see in that event where we get to talk about what it is that needs to be done and why. Because I think we do see the need to elevate our conversation a little bit. I hope that helps. Okay, social determinants and educators. I'm kind of wondering if that can be wrapped into one report about our meeting with DACD, but because I think that's all that's gone on for both of those groups since our last week's meeting, right? And I'm happy to open that up to others, but I'll just start by saying we had a presentation that Reading made to DACD, which stands for the Delaware Association of Colleges of Teacher Education, I think. Did I get it? Good, because there's two DACDs out there. It's very confusing. And they approached us to essentially talk about equity. They had chosen equity, I think, as a focal point for them, and they wanted to hear from us about what we were doing and why and how, and sort of the touch points for our recommendations and where we think we're heading, and how we might better work with them. I think it was a really interesting and engaging meeting, and I'd like to offer an opportunity, particularly, I don't know, to Ray or to anyone who was there for that to talk about it. I don't think Dr. Harrison is with us this morning, but I will say that he was a total rock star, and I think is like a breakout star of our consortium on a lot of fronts, and it was exciting to watch at the way he delivered his remarks and the way that they were received. So Ray, did you want to speak to it at all, or anyone else who was there? Kelly? Maybe I said it all, I don't know. Ray, go ahead.
Oh, good morning, everyone. The opportunity was certainly an important one. We had 6 universities represented, and the distilled presentation of the Reading Consortium's work, purpose, and interim recommendations were shared by Senator Lockman, and they really want to know what they can do differently in terms of their pre-service teacher preparation. And so the opportunity to really give input, and we certainly should be getting input from you all, is there that we should take advantage of. And Dr. Harrison made it very, very plain and clear that the excuses, he didn't use that language, the reasons that people say they can't diversify the entrance into their programs for the educator profession, that we have to do things very differently, and that there is a pool of prospects out there. And Jackie made the point that we should not forget educators, that there's a 20 or like a third of administrators are predicted to leave the profession in short order. And so this pipeline needs to be focused on educators, not just teachers. That's Kelly, you're shaking your head. Those are my takeaways.
Yeah. And we really focused on talking about the educator work group recommendations on the Grow Our Own and teacher diversification and professional development. And then we brought social determinants along because we really thought it was important for them to hear, from that perspective of, I think, where the racial equity conversation was going. So, and I think people were really interested in that. Some of the members, I think, really spoke eloquently, and they said they might have more people for us to talk to. And they kind of, there was a takeaway of action steps, I think, as well, which I'm not going to remember them both, but they were particularly interested in the data recommendation, which I was, intrigued by the data collection around racial equity issues.
It was the data collection and also partnering more with the teacher academies.
Right. Yeah, they're going to take some more responsibility for being good partners to the teachers academies to, pull up that more diverse cohort of potential Delaware teachers. So it felt very productive, and I think it'll be an ongoing relationship. Sorry, Tika.
No, there was a delay, I think. I have a question in regards to that, if you guys thought it would be helpful. In my district, I'm a lead mentor, so I work with a bunch of first-year teachers, actually first year, third, and fourth years. And so I've gotten some feedback from them as far as what their experiences have been like, and in particularly with some of the populations that they continuously work with. Would it be helpful to share any of that feedback with you for the work group?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Okay, I can do that. I can send you an email. I'll put some of it together.
Okay.
It's important to translate those kinds of experience into enhancements in not only pre-service, but ongoing development.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Great. Okay. Did we miss anything on work group updates?
I want to share
Dawn
one
has
thing.
her.
I have my hand raised again. Thank you. So I had the opportunity to speak with Virginia Ginny, who is now the director at DOE for the teacher academies. We just had a conversation about some other things, but I did talk to her about Writing Consortium. And so I don't know if any of you have met her yet, but she taught a social justice course at Polytech High School for years, maybe 19 years. She has a great deal of experience in social justice work. And so I don't know if anyone has reached out to her yet, but so she's new. She was hired just a few months ago by DOE to lead that teacher academy work. I know she's running a book study now with the teachers of the teacher academy, or no, pardon me, the students who are in teacher academy, a social justice book study. So I just really think that she would be a viable resource and to reach out to her soon. And I can send her email address.
Yeah.
Was she the teacher of the year about 2 years ago, I think?
Yes.
Yes. And I think the other group that you mentioned, Dawn, the Southern Coalition.
Yes, it's the Sussex Coalition to end
yes,
racism.
they have some new work that's getting ready to come out too. I got an email recently from them. That might be
great.
Another place to touch base again.
That's great. And I know they're not
Sorry,
necessarily.
Fran.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I said
Sorry,
Polytech, Fran. I meant Sussex Tech. Forgive me. Sorry about that.
So many tech.
And I do know that one of our work group members did talk to her as well when we were working on the recommendations. So she is aware of the educators' recommendations and seemed very eager.
That's great. That's great. And I mean, I think that's a good representation of something that came up, I think, in our settlement working group discussion where we were talking about, we know we have a very fixed scope geographically in terms of our work, but that we do want to be mindful that, equity work is statewide and it's nationwide and worldwide, but, and to be intentional about engaging stakeholders who are not just from Northern Newcastle County and Wilmington, can be really helpful as well. So I'm happy to talk to her and have her kind of in our orbit. That's great. Okay, if there aren't any questions or further comments about the work groups, we can get into some more nitty-gritty stuff. Again, February 18th is our next meeting, our first meeting of 2021. The same day as the JFC education hearing, so that'll be a fun day. And let's see. I do think it's good that we talked about the public comment, and I'm sure, especially in the wake of having done the press conference on the 5th, I don't think there's anything prohibiting us. You know, Matt and I as well, I'm on JFC, but for the consortium having comments submitted for that. So that's something that we should maybe sort of put a little bit of a pin on and make sure that's part of our task list. And I also, you know, Aaron kind of spoke to it earlier, but we're also all individuals, and individuals that have been engaged in this consortium, because you are effective and powerful people, I think can always feel perfectly comfortable making any comments that you feel you need to make as individuals as well, then and otherwise. In terms of brainstorming the agenda for February 18th, I mean, we can probably just start with a really bare bones sketch. I don't know that we need to get super into that today, but you know, I'm sure work group updates will be part of that. I'm not sure if we need to make time for any specific sort of featured agenda at this point, but I'd be happy to take any suggestions for like a featured speaker or topic that we should be digging into as a full consortium. It's what I'm hearing bubbling up is potentially looking at relevant legislation, and, you know, maybe even budget items that weren't under the purview of our interim recommendations that we may want to take some action on as a consortium. I think.
Yeah, I think that really should be key for February 18th.
Okay. So that's two big buckets there that I think we can just sort of sketch out as a focal, as a focus. Cool. Any other suggestions or thoughts? Okay, great. So public engagement. Haley, do you want to help me with a little bit with any updates on these bullet points that we should know?
Sure. For the public comment document, that's the document that I'm creating from the December 10th meeting. I'll go through all the public comment, which includes consortium members and also members of the public, and just identify any outstanding questions that people had that we think we can provide a substantial answer to. So I did create a draft of that and I sent it over to Tizzy. And then so we'll meet and decide how we can best answer those questions.
Yeah, so that's in my inbox. So the next step there is for me to look at it, and then Haley and I will probably have a one-on-one meeting to kind of figure out, all right, which do we need to go to a certain person, what agency to answer this, and yada, yada, yada. So then ultimately we'll have a document we can publish on the website. So I will look at that, Haley, on my list.
Sounds good. And it did look like a lot of the questions were about the educator recommendations. So they might come to Noelle or Mike, Kelly, Fran. Yeah.
Okay.
But so the small meeting Google Doc is sort of, I don't know a better name for it, but
yeah.
Meetings that like Tizzy goes to or others attend, to just be able to capture some notes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Tika and I have been talking about this, and let me see if I can find it. Yeah. I will just quickly share. I did a very rough draft of what that document could look like. I'm not sure how much more, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much more complicated it would need to be. We might put like an explanation paragraph about what the document is, but meeting date, who are the attendees, what was the purpose, are there outcomes or next steps that you think should come from the meeting, and then any notes that people had.
My only feedback is, and I will admit I have a strong spreadsheet bias.
Oh, okay.
Would it make sense just to go ahead and use Google Sheets for, I don't know, even sorting and organizational purposes, since we're looking at a grid anyway?
Sure. And I'm the opposite. I have a strong Google Docs. I have a doc. I don't know why. My brain just works better in like a free form. But yes, I can put it in a Google Sheet.
Cool.
And Tika, I know you had some thoughts about how the document would function too, if you want to add.
Yeah, we were talking about how to basically share it. And so it would be shared on the website as, as a link to then a view only version where people could see them.
Mhm.
But with the consortium members, they are editors with their link. So they can go in and update the information from their meetings.
Cool. Makes perfect sense to me. Great. Pretty cool, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then Haley and I are going to meet again next week and touch base on some more items.
Great. Thank you. All right. And Jason, have you had any takers on the videos yet?
Sorry.
Oh.
Hi. So I have actually had a conversation with Haley and Kelly on yesterday, and we discussed and kind of brainstormed some of the potential topics and ideas for how we're going to do it. And the initial round of ideas is just some quick interviews with, Reading Consortium leadership and the leadership of the work groups to kind of just briefly in like 5 minutes explain what it is the consortium is about and what the 3 work groups are about. And then, we can delve into more kind of technical funding and all of the fun stuff that we're working on.
Cool. That sounds like a good place to start. But yeah, as you were talking, I was like, oh, yeah, we can just make our co-chairs do this and then see if we have additional folks who want to do it. That's great. Cool. All right. I think we covered the agenda. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything on the agenda that we might have glossed over or didn't get to yet? Okay. All right. So if not, if we have any public comment, we'll open it up for that. And since we are over, we're not really over time, but we're kind of over our 11 o'clock goal, we'll do a little time limit. If we have, Amy, are you going to have a comment? All right. I'm going to time you this week because it's after 11.
Yeah, I kind of took the piss last week. Sorry.
I know you did.
I did. It's a great group. Okay, start your timer. I'll get this done. Yeah, so I think that I'm gonna hold up the paper, the Capitol riots, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the front page. People, Laurel residents, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this school board playbook and now it has different eyes on it. Hopefully it'll be done by Monday. Going through all the info for Kent and Sussex, like I really think the Reading Consortium should address this in some way, right? Like I reached out to Dana, a lady named Dana who works with the COVID response.
Mm-hmm.
I got her number from John Sheehan. And she sent me, when I was talking to her about Delaware's COVID response, she said the next thing, like proactively coming down the pike, is the social emotional wellness of the children. And that the CDC, she sent me a data report that I will forward. We have data that the mental health of children is not good. And she's like, it's really going to hit when we come back next year, hopefully when we're all done. And I just think it's hearing this from the professional on the front line delivering, and I want us to be proactive. And I think, what's happening in the Capitol insurrection is also just another layer on top of that, in that it deals directly with equity. And we want to make sure that conservative Republicans know that we don't want to squash their voice, right? Like we want to hear, I think it's the time to make the comment that everyone's voice matters and there's a safe space for it. But I think we should really make that safe space in Delaware and not ignore it. And I think we should use this insurrection as a mandate to, during this next 3 weeks, say the Reading Consortium needs a mandate for all of Delaware, right? I think what's happening in real time now, we urgently need to respond to. And I think it would be a mistake not to do that. And I don't know if I'm over time, but Adriana Bohm forwarded me this thing that I attended the other day, the Proximity Project, Aten Ray Aline, over 100 people attended. They had so many kids that like listed their credentials, all like student body presidents, and so smart. And there were like tons of them on there. And as far as like engagement, like I just sent his details that were in that email to Haley privately, like reach out to him, man.
Yeah.
Like it's already happening. I think if you just like picked that up and plopped it in the middle of the General Assembly, like it'd be a great thing. So thank you.
See, 3 minutes. You got a lot in. That's perfect. No, that's wonderful. And I think we do want to partner with organizations. I have seen a little bit of the Proximity Project work from Ottenray, and
I mean,
we don't need to reinvent wheels.
No, I mean, his is the best, and like everything he's done with Teen Sharp, and it's like
Yeah.
he's already there and he's like
Sharp.
moving ahead. So like
Sharp
you
voices.
just have to keep up with him.
Definitely. Thank you, Amy. It's a great
Yeah.
partnership tip. Anybody have anything else before we close? All right. Awesome. Very, very good. All right, everybody. Well, stay safe. I'm really proud of us. It is, what day is this? It's January 15th. It's mid-January, and we already have a lot to show for ourselves. So pat yourself on the back, and in the midst of all the chaos in the world, you're doing great. So
His birthday, his actual birthday.
yeah. So yeah, stay safe. Have a great weekend. Monday's a day on, not a day off. I don't know how many more pat things I can put in my closing, but thank you, and talk to you all soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your days.